Hello and welcome to the DH Effect. My name is Sonia Montiel and this is my co-host Hillary Bilbrey. This entire month of February, we are going to be talking about what it means to truly see with a decided heart, which is about committing to seeing the true core of ourselves, sometimes which is the harder piece of it, and others, and helping them shine. Our guest today, former NFL player, educator, speaker, the executive director of Male Mogul Initiative,
Daddy,
all of it, all the things.
Yes.
Walter Mendenhall IV is an example to all of us in this category of truly seeing ourselves and truly seeing others. We are so grateful to you, Walter. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate the opportunity to come on this platform.
Oh gosh, it is, Walter, we met at a youth conference in Alabama last October. And the thing that I noticed about you right away, and you walked in for dinner, right? And you command a room, and you don't do it in a way where it's like, oh, look, I'm here. But you have this peaceful confidence when you walk into a room and other people just lean in automatically. Where does that come from?
Man, I have no idea, but I would say that I don't think it's always been that way, or at least I didn't know that. Just coming from a background, I had a single mother, 3 kids. My dad, they divorced when I was 9 years old. And a lot of times I struggled with self-worth. And my actual self-worth came from sports. But once sports was done, I really didn't know who I was. And kind of this journey through my 20s was kind of like this discovery of who I was outside of football. And eventually I got to know my purpose. And my purpose, where I feel I'm on this earth, is to positively transform the way people live and lead in their communities, and just to help a generation realize their potential and make the impossible possible in their lives. And, in my truth, I'm able to exude that because I know I'm fully living in my purpose and walking in my purpose.
There's like such a sense of humility in that, where that maybe that calm confidence and surety is because of the humility of, hey, I kind of know what it is to not know, or to pad myself with all these achievements, but not truly know how we see ourselves. And there was one particular moment where you thought, this might be the beginning to Male Mogul Initiative. Can you tell us about that story?
Yeah, I think it even goes before that. So there was a time in my life, actually, when I was in college, and I was playing college football at the University of Illinois. But, things weren't really going my way, wasn't getting the playing time I felt I deserved. And I actually fell into a very, very, very deep depression. And I was laying in my room one day, and I was contemplating taking my life. So I remember just being in my bedroom and just kind of just like laying down. And in all honesty, it's just like, God, if you really real, I need to know, because I don't know if I'm gonna make it to the morning. And, I just kind of felt a presence come in that room and kind of hold me like you will hold a newborn baby, and had the most peaceful sleep I ever had in my life. And when I woke up, even though my situation didn't change, my attitude about the situation changed. And I realized I was here for a bigger purpose than just to play sports. So kind of, that's kind of the background to that. And fast forwarding kind of to the Male Mogul Initiative, it's just kind of, to be honest with you, stumbled upon it. I remember just going, I was a youth program director at a local nonprofit agency on the west side of Chicago. And I went into career day. And during that career day, I met a great young man, honor roll student, basketball player, very well respected in the school, but he sold drugs in order to get the things that he wanted. And after that conversation, I was just like, man, how many young men in this community, how many young men just in this city, and just even just in the nation have the gifts, skills, and talents and abilities to be successful legal entrepreneurs, but not necessarily the access or exposure to those things. And just really started off with like 5 kids, a program at a local church. And, now we have our own store, we sell our own merchandise, we do internships, we have a work program. We're in multiple schools here in Chicago teaching leadership and entrepreneurship, character development. So, it really just kind of started with just trying to solve a problem, and it's kind of just morphed into, something that I never thought it would be, and continuing to do so.
I thank you, first of all. I just have to go back and put an emphasis on the fact that you shared that there was some mental health, a mental fitness that was in rough shape in college. And so many people, men especially, don't reach out for help or know that that's going on or are ashamed to talk about it. And so I want to thank you for bringing that up and being so real and honest about that, because we have got to talk about it more. It is a crisis in our community, and it does stem from, I love the fact that you said, all of a sudden I felt held. I felt held. I felt like I could change. I felt like I could walk in my purpose. And then you leaned in and said, okay, I know there has to be something more. And that is really in service to others. And I do, like, my personal, and this is where my heart like connects with your heart so much, is that our purpose here is to be of purpose, in my opinion, right? Is to find how our skills and our talents can transform other people, not just ourselves. It's not about us. And when we start living to transform others and help others shine, we are shining.
100%. I totally agree with that.
So here's what's so interesting to me in Male Mogul is the statistics that you have about these young men in particular that are coming in, and when they leave, there's surety about who they are and what they can do and the potential and the access that they have now to education. You don't have to know all the things, but they know they can find out how to know, right? How did this really come to be? And give us some insight into the Male Mogul initiative.
Well, most definitely. So, I gave the mission before, is to positively transform the way young men live and lead in their communities through leadership and entrepreneurship development. And basically, we have a 3-phase program. So the first phase, I feel, is that when we go into the schools and we speak and begin to teach the young man, and it's not really about entrepreneurial principles. It's really about shifting a mindset and actually even to shifting your heart in a way. So we actually start with what we call the 3 foundational questions of manhood, which is, who are you, why do you matter, and what's your purpose? So I've realized, just teaching and just being in the schools and just interacting with young people, a lot of times people don't know who they are. So if you don't know who you are, you don't know why you matter. And if you don't know why you matter, you don't know your purpose. If you don't know these things, then you're going to let your environment, determine those things for you. And if you live in a, low income environment, a lot of times, those environmental influences are most often negative. So it starts with a mind and a heart transformation. And once they understand those things, then they can get into, what do they like? What are their gifts? What are their talents? And that's what we kind of tackle in the second phase, which is usually an after-school program that helps them to develop either a product or a service using their skill sets. And then our third phase program is that they do summer internships. So they either work at our store, they'll work with a different entrepreneur, they'll go somewhere that they have an interest in and have an internship, which is paid by the Male Mogul Initiative. And we recently started our fourth phase, which is actually our workforce development program here in Chicago for 18 to 24-year-olds who are not in school or not working. And basically what we do is we partner with different career path opportunities. And what we're responsible for is more for that social emotional learning. So helping them to overcome the obstacles that would make them not complete their programs. So we're kind of that social emotional place for them where they can go and they can, have a thought partner to help them to overcome some of the obstacles that they may have.
One thing I have to tell our listeners, you did do a 5-minute documentary about this program, which is just really revealing and powerful. When I was watching that, I really reflected on my own life as a learner in a community where everyone said, "Get out, Sonia. You got to get out. You're either going to get pregnant or become a chola. That's your only two if you stay." What was so powerful for me is hearing you talk to these young people and say, "You are going to take control of your community. You are going to take control of the business here in our community." And then you talked about the economic freedom. When I heard that, I was stunned because no one told me that as a teen. And the three things that you mentioned, I kind of knew that I had a purpose, but I had no idea who I was, and I had no idea what was the second.
Why I matter, why you matter.
I matter, right? So I anchored. So because of fear, because I was so fearful to stay, I mastered the educational system. Like I learned the rules of it, but I never became a learner.
Yeah.
I was a high achiever. I was a jock. So soccer, my father put my sister and I through soccer. I was telling Hillary that, by senior year, I was like all CIF female athlete of the year. And every moment of achievement was not about, dang, I'm worthy. Dang, I learned so much. It was like, oh, I'm going to get out. Because still, that was my weapon, right? Like, I'm going to get out. And since then, I put a sticker when I got admitted to college, right? And and it was 3 hours away from home. To me, that was a whole universe away.
Yeah.
And I reflect what you've made me do this morning is, why didn't I ever look back? What about the community that I left? And I just feel like, so that's where I just feel like it's so powerful, because you are going to, what your efforts are is changing the community within.
Yeah.
And expanding that. And that's just, wow, so powerful, and I'm so grateful for it.
Most definitely. And I think too, I think it's a lot of times all about timing too. I think, a lot of times, I don't know how old you are, but just, my age, I'm, in my mid to late 30s. And, we were taught that, there's nothing good here, to go somewhere else, or, the white picket fence in the suburbs or whatever, things of that sort. But times have changed, technology has changed, and just perspective, and just even how things are in the city. We're experiencing gentrification. We're experiencing, here in Chicago, people coming back and developing these communities and kicking the people who communities they didn't care about. Now people are moving in, and now they are forced to move out. So, and that's kind of what's going on in the community that we're in Bronzeville, and on the south side of Chicago. And it's just like, you guys need to take control of your destiny. You don't want your destiny or be determined by somebody else or by an economic situation. So you need to take control of your life, and whatever that may be. So
that's so powerful. James Clear says that we should be the architect of our environment, not the victim of our environment. And that's, yeah, when I listen to you, that's what, I feel so empowered. And I think these young men must also feel so empowered. You're so honest and real and authentic. I think that people know, teens especially, can smell a mile away if you're in it for you or you're in it for them.
Yeah.
And you have this humble hustle where it is so obvious where your heart is. And they're so lucky. They're so lucky to have you. And how have you grown? Where are things going? Because it's not just in Chicago anymore, is it?
So, it's expanding. And I think the thing that we are trying to do is kind of figure out how to scale. So, that's really an investment in technology. So whether that is an app, whether that is selling online content, whether that is going to different places and speaking about the Male Mogul Initiative. So, it really started as just a thing that I did with 5 kids at my church. And in a really short period of time, it has blossomed to what it is. And growth is great. But what I've realized too is that, you have to scale that growth. And sometimes that takes time, that takes strategy, that takes others, and really putting a system in place so this thing can grow at a scale that, can have an impact on a lot of people.
For sure. What a great learning too. I mean, for the young entrepreneurs out there as well, that, being an entrepreneur, you have the vision, you have the creativity, you have the innovation, and then part of that growth, that scaling is part of the planning as well, right? Because usually as entrepreneurs, the vision is pretty it's massive. It's like, and the world shall have this, right? But then you're like, wait, I'm just one person. And so you do the math. And who knows, like, I love my professions working with young people, and I look to them. Like, they have the ability to probably see the scaling part, and the information in their mind. And so perhaps maybe you have the sea of young minds, right? That's like, oh, we can easily develop an app for that. But I think that's...
Yeah, so it's about them. I think even too sometimes it's just giving them permission to be creative.
Yes.
I think in our school system, it's like it gets to a point where kids stop imagining and innovating. And to be honest with you, like, it takes a while for them to start to, get those ideas again and solve problems, because, all they're doing is giving information and regurgitating it and not being critical thinkers or creative or innovative. So, as much as they do have that potential, you really have to start deprogramming them and building that confidence is that, the answer is not B. It could be, something else.
I have to say, Hillary, I want you to respond to this, because just yesterday, Hillary and I were in this conversation that led to the most in-depth moment of our relationship, of identity. And she said something to me that was so powerful about lifelong learning. And it was there was a little bit about that permission and the access. So I can share that.
Well, that's what I was thinking. You're giving them permission to be curious again. And when I used to teach, I started out as a high school teacher, and I know you as well are an educator. And I remember telling people, it's like, I don't care if my kids love Shakespeare, but I will be damned if they will leave my classroom and feel like they can't access it, that they don't know, that they are somehow less than. There is no such thing, in my opinion, as a gatekeeper. There should be no gatekeepers to education. It is our job. It is our job as adults to help open up those gates, give permission, give curiosity, allow for the opportunity to access. Because education and lifelong learning, it doesn't just look like book learning. It looks like so many other things that to me are at the core of what we need in order to grow and be able to help one another.
Totally agree with that. But I think, education, especially now in this system, public school system, does the complete opposite.
I don't.
100%, which is why you are so valuable and so needed. And we will keep on delivering the message as well. Before we kind of leave our listeners with how they can help and where you're from and all of that, and how they can connect with you, I know this is kind of a big leading question, but what advice or tips or thoughts do you have for our listeners out there about what it takes to truly not look and say, hey, there's a drug dealer, or hey, there's an athlete, or hey, but to get behind it and see the potential, to see who people are so that they in turn can see who they are?
I think the one thing is relationship and being willing to be uncomfortable. I think a lot of times, and just American society, it's like strive to be the most comfortable you can be. Live in the best neighborhood you can be, sleep in the best bed you can. And it's just like with comfortability comes like, how can I say this? Trying to figure out the right words to say, not to offend anybody, but comfortability stifles growth.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to live with somebody that looks exactly like them, thinks the exact same way they think, believe the exact same things they believe, and are fearful of people who are different. So in order to identify or talk to somebody or to interact with somebody that's different than you realize that, they may be different, whether skin color, belief system, things like that. But there's always something in common that you have, or you understand why the person is who they are based off, these things, or, these conversations. And once you really get to know somebody and build a relationship with somebody that's different, you realize that everybody really just wants the same things in life. And that's really just to, be who they are, to be safe and, to have enough to take care of their families. So that's basically it.
Yeah, our universal need and want, right?
Yeah.
No, and so I hear just like debriefing, and it's funny because the universe sort of works in a weird way where things seem to pop up over and over. And this morning I just read these 3 words, and as you're talking, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's what he's talking about. It's like, you need to have the courage to show up and have the conversation. You need to have the curiosity to seek understanding, truly understanding, and then the compassion to be able to see, the whole person and how it everything builds. We all have circumstances in our life, to withhold judgment and just be present.
Oh my gosh, well, we do have to close up.
I don't want to.
I know. So I know that our listeners and viewers are saying, okay, either I want to get connected to Walter, or I want to learn more about Male Mogul Initiative. I want to help. I want to support. What's the best way for our audience to connect with you?
Yeah, so just if you want to connect with me personally, you can just go to my website, Walter Mendenhall .com. Feel free to leave me a message, contact information. You can also contact me at the Male Mogul, male as in MALE.
Yeah, good point.
mogulinitiative.org. So feel free there. And then my email, Walter M at malemogulinitiative.org. So these are all the ways you can contact us.
Should they follow you anywhere on social? And we'll have a lot of links in the description of the show and all the places that we have it posted as well. But is there a preference that you have for social media of any sort?
A preference. So, my Instagram is Walter Mendenhall. The Male Mogul's Instagram is Male Mogul Initiative. I'm on Facebook. The Male Mogul Initiative is on Facebook. So feel free to follow us there.
Oh my gosh. Well, you've been surrounded by building teams, right? Being part of teams, and just consider us your teammates.
100%.
So we're on the Male Mogul Initiative team. Thank you so much for joining us. You truly made such a powerful impact. I mean, you have been throughout your whole life, right? Just discovering the crumbs that leads you to where you are now. But for Hillary, you met a while back, but I think for me, you have planted a seed of me looking back at my community and seeing how can I help build that community again. So everyone, please make sure to follow us, the DH Effect, and Walter on all our social media platforms. Subscribe to your favorite podcast platform, or maybe you like YouTube where you can see us do silly things, so you never miss an episode. So subscribe. Also, this year we have launched a new membership brand. It's called Friends with Benefits. We know how it sounds, but it's literally the way we do. We are all friends. We all get so many great benefits. Check out our website at thedheffect.com for all the details. Until next time, Hillary.
May you have the courage to live with a decided heart.